On March 5th, 1726, a floating head was discovered in the River Thames near Westminster. The authorities weren't able to identify the poor guy, so they placed the head on a pole in a cemetery in hopes that someone passing by would recognize him. No one did. It wasn't until the rest of the body was found 3 weeks later that the authorities were able to identify the man as John Hayes through his belongings. Not even a week later, his wife, Catherine Hayes, confessed to murdering him. The story goes Catherine convinced her two lovers, Thomas Wood and Thomas Billings, to do away with the inconvenience of her husband. Apparently, Catherine had a thing for men named Thomas. Thomas I and Thomas II challenged John to a drinking contest, and when he fell unconscious, the Thomas duo grabbed an axe and went about dispatching John. Things weren't looking good for Catherine. She tried to claim that her husband had been abusing her and her two good friends were only trying to protect her. But what little chances she had went down the drain when Miss Weekly Journal published their piece on the case. The newspaper claimed that Thomas No. 2, Billings, was Catherine's long-lost illegitimate son, sired by her father-in-law before Catherine married John. So now, not only is Catherine being accused of having an affair and murdering her husband, she's being accused of having an incestuous affair and murdering her husband. I am personally not in the habit of believing sensational newspaper stories, but the 18th century all-male jury that tried Catherine and her accomplices apparently were. Catherine was declared guilty of petty treason and sentenced to be burned at the stake. Instead of being strangled to death like most were before being put to the flames, Catherine was sentenced to be burnt alive because of the incest believed to be involved in her crimes. During the execution, it's recorded that Catherine screamed and begged the executioner to end her life quickly, but when the executioner finally gave in, the metal chain that had been wrapped around Catherine's neck to snap it if needed had grown too hot for him to hold, and thus Catherine was left to suffer for hours. If you would like to hear more stories like this from history, follow along for more.